Days. Are you excited?
Yeah. I think obviously when you come to media day, it means the season's right around the corner, and that's the company line, but it's true, right? And so it's getting closer to being able to get on the grass and playing some football again, and so looking forward to it. Happy with where we are and excited for the future.
What excites you most about what you guys have gotten done this offseason?
I think probably just the most proud of the fact that it's been a really quiet offseason. I think we talked a lot about just kind of going to work and improving and enhancing our program, and I think we've been able to do that. And I think when you're not hearing about programs in April, May, June, it's usually a good thing.
Can you talk about anything specifically that you feel like that you feel good about the strides you've made from the time you took over to the job till going into getting ready to go into August camp?
Yeah, I just think the buy-in to the way we want to do things. We talk a lot about, I don't know better or worse if that really exists, but it's certainly different, right? And the way we want to do things is a little bit different from a culture standpoint, how we attack the game of football, all of that. And I just think the buy-in that we've gotten from the players, from the program, has been really good.
How do they show that buy-in?
Probably with energy, the enthusiasm, the hard work, the attitude and morale in and around the building. You guys have seen it when they come over to your place. I just think there's a real positive energy in and around our building right now, and it kind of shows you that they're in with what you're trying to do.
Mike, the future schedules are still to be determined, but do you think Texas A&M should play Texas every year? Should that be part of the deal moving forward?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't see why we wouldn't. I mean, certainly when you talk about two programs like that in the same state, would certainly anticipate that would be a priority game to keep on the schedule as we move forward.
That's a game that's going to be played on a Saturday this year. Do you like it on that day of the week, or would you like it to be maybe on Thanksgiving Day, as it's been played so many times in the past?
Yeah, I kind of leave that to the decision makers. I know historically that's meant a lot to our fan base. I also know that television has changed, and I heard Coach Sankey, Commissioner Sankey talk about this the other day, but Thursday has become an NFL day, kind of start to finish, and so I think you're starting to see more games move to Friday, Saturday, and so where our people think is the right place for it will certainly show up and play.
With that game, I know it's obviously being season, but these players have not been a part of it because obviously it's been gone for 12, 13 years. Do you have a sense for how much that game matters to them, like the rivalry itself, because they haven't played in it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a huge talking point for all of you guys. Our focus is on today, not on Thanksgiving weekend right now, and long before we get to Thanksgiving weekend, we're going to focus on Notre Dame too. But I think it's only natural when schools are so close proximally, and then there's so much connection between players on roster. Certainly a lot of their players and a lot of our players played together, grew up together. Like that always enhances rivalry, right? And so certainly that game, it's not lost on anyone what that game means to Texas A&M and what it means to Texas. And so that's there for sure.
Does it make that focus a little easier in the offseason when it is Notre Dame, as opposed to maybe an FCS type school or something? When you talk about focus in the offseason and telling the guys, hey, we're opening with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways, right? I think as a coach, sometimes you would maybe like a game where you have a little bit larger margin in the opener sometimes, but then there's also that ability to really reconnect your players. You have those dog days of fall camp, and it doesn't take a lot to grab their attention back when there is a huge magnitude on the opener. And so I think it can go both ways, but obviously it's really easy to kind of understand the importance of being ready to play fast coming out of the gate when you have a game like that to start.
It's usually pretty rare to bring a sophomore to 80 days. What is it about Torian that stands out that he can take on this responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was important for us to bring our captains. I think new program and first year doing this, I think leadership is something we've really spoken an awful lot about. Culture we've spoken an awful lot about, and so to me it was important that we brought our captains because those were the two guys that were voted on by our program to represent us, and so bringing them here to media day, certainly for our first one, just made a lot of sense. And then obviously we've spoken about how tremendous a kid Torian is, and he's extremely well spoken. He's a high character kid. He's obviously got the respect and command of everyone in that locker room, and so he represents everything we want Texas A&M to stand for. So it only makes sense that he's here.
Was there an excitement when you told him that he was going to get the nod?
Yeah, I think all three guys are at SEC Media Days for the first time. I think all of them were really excited. Certainly Torian's story is you've heard him talk about the chip on his shoulder, and it didn't go as natural and as easy for him in the recruiting process as it did for a lot of other kids. And so for him to not only get to a school like Texas A&M and then have the success that he had, but then to be honored to be captain and then be here. I think it's all kind of come really together really well for him.
Mike, there's been so much sort of noise and heat around the program over the last couple of years. How much of your job did you feel like was coming in and like lowering the temperature a little bit and bringing maybe some stability and, I hate to say normalcy, back to these kids to get them a little more comfortable?
No, we've talked about that a little bit this offseason. Like at times when we got there, it felt like we were on a ship taking on water, and it was very rocky, and that's not the world you want to live in, right? And to stabilize that, to kind of get it a little bit quieter, we talked about that, and to just know that your kids are just day to day doing the things you need them to do, because that's usually what eliminates a lot of that noise. And so, yeah, I think that's the world you want to live in. You want to be a little bit quieter, a little bit more calm and consistent.
Did that influence any of your decisions when you started talking about like going into the portal and what type of kids you want to bring into the program? I would imagine obviously you don't want kids who are going to bring volatility generally.
Yeah, no, I don't know that the past, I just think that's a belief that I have. You know, I think when you talk about successful organizations, whether it's sports, football, business, whatever, culture matters. And when you talk about how to enhance your product, culture plays a big role in that. And so, you know, really early on, we started talking about that. We talked about what we wanted our culture to be, what we wanted it to look like. And I think when you recruit, part of it is having to recruit to that culture. And whether that's high school kids, portal kids, it doesn't really matter. I think in order to get it to look the way you want to look, you've got to be very intentional about who you bring into your organization.
Did you sense that your guys felt like there was a change of culture that was needed?
No, we haven't talked about the past at all. It's all about the future and where we're trying to go.
One group that kind of proverbially took on a lot of the last couple of years is the offensive line. Obviously, you got Coach Cushing in. What have you seen from that group? Obviously, 2 weeks ago before camp, that makes you confident that we won't see a repeat of last year or the year before that?
Yeah, I just think kids have pride, right? And it's not lost on them, you know, that maybe we haven't been what we wanted to be or what we're capable of. And so I think you pull on those strings. I think they've all worked extremely hard. I think we've made big strides in the weight room. I think that was important and needed. I think they're in better shape physically than they've been in at this point, maybe in previous years. A lot of them have spoken about that, and a lot of that is health related. You know, look at Trey Zune, who's here with us. He hasn't really had a healthy offseason since he's been here, and so for him to have a truly healthy offseason from start to finish and really build into camp, as opposed to having a lot of guys that are trying to get to camp and still trying to get healthy, I think that'll play a big role.
How's Connor's health progression been this summer, and what is he capable of if he's able to stay healthy throughout the duration of the season?
Yeah, I think we're all excited to see it. I think, you know, he's healthy now, like I said he would be. You know, we knew that was coming. It just wasn't there as quick as maybe we needed it to be for spring ball, but that was never, you know, we were never going to have a record coming out of spring ball, and so you guys were a lot more worried about that than I ever was. I've been trying to calm you guys down on that for a while, but you know, he's running now. He's full speed. He's doing everything we're doing from an athletic standpoint, running, conditioning, cutting, all of that. And so I think he's getting really confident in where his body is, which that was the first part. You know, I think the hardest part when you come back from injury is it takes a mental toll on you too, right? These kids want to play, and certainly Connor doesn't want to sit out. He doesn't want to be unhealthy through spring, and that all kind of, I think, takes a toll on you. And so him being healthy now, able to go out there, you're starting to see that energy. You're starting to see him really come into himself. And, you know, obviously it's going to be really important for us to get good quarterback play this fall.
Do you anticipate there being
A couple more, and then we'll get Trey Zune in.
Do you anticipate there being any of a kind of a competition this fall with Connor, or is, you know, you plan him to be kind of the starter, you know, day one of fall camp?
No, he's certainly the starter day one of fall camp, but there's competition at every position, and so I don't think you ever want to have anything locked in your program, and that's everybody. You know, we've told Torian York, we've told Trey Zune, we've told Shamar Turner, you don't want a program where the best player doesn't play, and so Connor's our guy. We have a lot of confidence in Connor, and it's going to take a heck of a job for someone to come in and beat him out. But if someone comes in and has clearly elevated his play, you want to make sure that you're playing the guys who can give you the best chance to win.
Mike, coming off against Notre Dame at the start of the season, what do you want people to see, and what this program will embody when it takes the field?
Yeah, I want to see a program that represents Texas A&M the right way. A lot of passion, a lot of energy, a lot of physicality, a lot of spirit, and goes out there and plays the game the way we're capable of. I think we all know if we can get this thing played like we're capable of, we got a chance to be really successful.
Mike, you're coming off a busy couple of months on the recruiting trail. Just what's been the response, you guys, and what do you feel like you've accomplished there over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, we have a brand that sells, and it's attracted talented players for years. It's continuing to attract talented players. I feel like we're in the mix for all of the kids that we want to be in the mix for, and so, yeah, I think that's going to continue to elevate and continue to grow as we move forward.
And in the player involvement on that standpoint.
I've got to get Trey.
Okay.
Trey